The big game isn't until Sunday, but the commercials are already making headlines. They feature familiar faces from Ben Affleck pitching Dunkin' to Melissa McCarthy for NYSE-listed e.l.f. Beauty and Ken, yes, Barbie's Ken, selling Expedia. Joining me now to share more about what to expect on the big day is Ben Felix. He's the president of Decision Council. Ben, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
All right, so you said humor and celebrity endorsements, as usual, are on the agenda this year for Super Bowl ads. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I also think we're going to see a massive uptick in the humor angle, right? So historically, right, brands normally have three different options of where they want to go from their messaging, right? Number one, you can go down the emotional, inspirational, motivational route, tug at the heartstrings, right? Number two, you can lean into the patriot angle, right? Towards patriotism. Number three, this is where humor comes into play, right? So it's really hard for brands to go down that emotional route, right? You can see Google and other players actually do that, embrace it. However, if you're Frito-Lay, it's really hard to show that, emotional angle with, potato chips, right? The other one is the patriotism angle, right? The reality is we're in a pretty tense, political and cultural climate right now. And so brands don't want to be known or seen endorsing one way or the other. Right, so then that's what you're left with is on the humor side, right? So this is where humor and celebrity endorsements come into play. Humor is a unifying aspect. It's a unifying play, right? So this is where people are going to be huddled up. You're going to get that, massive attention. You're going to get that uplift, and especially with celebrities, they're going to reduce that, and bring you that goodwill within 3 to 5 seconds. So that's why we see brands staring into it this year.
I was researching this yesterday, and commercials are already on the internet.
Yeah.
Why does that happen? And what are we going to see, during the actual game, during the broadcast?
Yeah, no, that's so funny. So this is actually a massive strategy that brands are actually taking, right? So the brands that are winning, the ones that are doing it right, aren't treating the Super Bowl as this single moment in time, right? Because they don't want $10 million of noise, very expensive noise. What they're doing is they're actually telling a story ahead of time, right? And so they're seeding the dialogue and the conversation. So you're seeing Bud Light, you're seeing Instacart, you're seeing a lot of these brands actually do these pre-ads ahead of time. And instead of it kind of just culminating in the single moment, the ones that are also winning are actually doing advertising after the Super Bowl as well. So they're treating it more like a story rather than a single moment.
All right, and in this AI-dominated world that we live in, you say that this is one of the last places, the big game is where attention still exists.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that for us? So
attention is the world's most valuable currency right now, right? It's hard to earn. Most of us are on our phones. The reality is as the Super Bowl is a significant and actually a very unique moment where people sit down collectively, right? Sit down together, they're watching, they're paying attention. 50% of people don't watch the game for the game, they're watching for the commercials, right? So we're talking about this massive moment where, frankly, if you get it right, you can yield the benefits, but if you get it wrong, people are less forgiving.
All right, and a 30-second ad can cost up to $10 million. Can anyone just buy an ad, or are they discerning with who they allow to, buy ads?
Yeah, you would think that they would be a lot less discerning if they've got $10 million to spend. The reality is that networks and the Super Bowl are extremely discerning. Not anybody can actually do it. They're looking for, do you have market credibility? Are you going to pass regulatory scrutiny? I'll give you an example of who's actually tried to advertise this year and been told no, allegedly, are your predictive market platforms. I'm not going to name any specific names, but they've actually been told no. So the reality is more not if you have the money, but also if you're ready.
All right, and any brands or campaigns you're going to be watching in the last minute of the show?
Yeah, absolutely. I love what Bud Light has done. The past 2 years, yes, they had a couple of well-documented missteps, but they've really bounced back. They've found the correct celebrities, right? They're extremely authentic. They're treating this as a story. They won last year. They did a great job. I'm excited to see where they go, right? So that's one that I'm looking forward to seeing.
All right, and can you tell us about Decision Council briefly and how we can learn more about you?
Yeah, we're a strategic go-to-market consulting company. We have, think of McKinsey, just more focused on revenue growth and marketing. Really work with brands when, the moments that matter. You can find more about us at decisioncouncil.com.